Hello, all benders and non-benders. Welcome back to Avatar Generations. Today, we're going to talk about something that has been much requested and is probably the most important thing you can possibly have to talk about in this game, which is what you need to do every single day if you are the type of person who does that. Me personally, I am the type of person who absolutely wants to optimize as much as possible. So that's what we're going to talk about here. It can be a little confusing to new players, it can be a little overwhelming, there's quite a lot to do, but once you figure out the system, you'll really get into it and realize how to maximize your time and your energy as much as possible. First thing we want to look at here is the daily missions. Every day, for me, it's 7 o'clock. I don't know if that's 7 o'clock in every time zone. You have daily missions. The first one you'll always complete is log in one time. This one's probably the most important because that means you survived the day. Good job, you're doing great, and you can keep doing it. You got this. Whoever needed to hear that, you know who you are. You get these quests just going around doing different things, training character, completing adventure paths, which we will get to very soon, and just completing various things in the game. The next thing I think you should look at are your event quests. The reason I say that is there are certain event quests that require specific things. In this case, this one will get a ton of gold. Apparently I completed that. But for example, this one is to use the Kyoshi Warrior faction in any training ground stage. That's one you'll want to keep in mind when you're using your energy. You'll want to keep that in mind, keep that in the back of your head if you do the training ground, to make sure to use Kyoshi Warriors. So you'll kind of want to go through those events, make sure that there's nothing you could be completing that you're missing. The next thing we're going to talk about is probably the thing you want to do the most every single day, which are the adventure paths. Now, if you go into an area here, you will notice all this pathing. If you went through the story, I'm sure you saw this already. And you might be asking yourself, well, what do I do with this? What's the point here? These will actually give you rewards just to have a character walk along this dotted line. So for example, I'm actually maxed out here. Another thing to keep in mind is you do only have a certain number of teams. But if you go to your teams here and you have too many, if I'm on this green here, that means they're not really doing anything. Or they might be in the middle of something, but you can just get rid of that. And apparently a new area has discovered. That's pretty cool. So we're going to go back to the South Pole here, go to Wolf Cove, and we're going to assign somebody. In this case, since he just finished up, we're going to go and put him here. You'll notice how it says that firebenders aren't allowed. That's only for the thing that the node can do, in this case being a resource node. And then what you can do with Zhao here is you can just have him walk. Just have him walk. Now there's a few things to keep in mind. One, this dotted line is currently a bright white color. That means there are rewards to get. If you want to confirm that, you can actually hit this little chest in the bottom right, and you will see the rewards you can get. The most important reward here are the little adventure tokens, the green ones with the yellow path, the little yellow mountain path in them. Those allow you to unlock new areas as well as buy stuff from the shop, including summoning tickets, which is immensely important. Last thing to keep in mind here with these paths, to collect all of these, you can have a character run all the way from the beginning of a path all the way to the end. That is not something the game tells you. They'll make it seem like you have to go from one node over to the next node here. That is not the case. You can start him here, have him going all the way here, and he will collect all of the rewards for these paths. Very important to keep in mind because the game does not tell you that. Once you've done that, if you've got all of your adventure paths covered, it might take you a few rotations to figure it out. In this case, it looks like it's going to take him about 25 minutes, and then we can put him somewhere else, like perhaps starting here and then going here. Once you've done that, you kind of want to figure out what other nodes you have. My recommendation, once you've finished all the paths, is to find these timed nodes. These you just plop a character on and have them do their thing for however long it takes. In this case, it's 2 hours. This is what I have my characters doing for the vast majority of the day. It gets you rewards at the end of the timer, then you go on, put them back on, and you're good. And then if you want, my face might be in the way here, but in the bottom left, you can see your teams that you have active. You'll probably see that I have a lot of teams that are just one character. You can just click on one if you want to check on them. In this case, the Kyoshi Warrior here actually did complete a path. So when I click on this glowing icon with the check mark, these are the rewards you get from doing the path. Like I said, these right here are probably the most important. You also get these boss materials, these mountain apples. We'll get to that very soon. So once you've got your characters doing the timed nodes, another thing you can keep in mind are these resource nodes. Some of these are easier than others. This one is actually particularly tough because you actually have to fight each of these to do this resource node. It's actually pretty energy intensive. However, there are some much better ones. If you go to Shengguan, you do get some timed nodes over here that will grant you resources for these resource nodes. If a resource node has rewards that you can afford to collect, it will have this little bag here. Very easy to tell. Kind of makes it simple. These are not timed. You go in, drop the resources they need, and then you're good. Okay, now let's say you've got all of your teams set up. They're walking their paths. They're doing their timed nodes. You've got them everywhere you want them to be. Next thing to do is to use your energy. Now there's a few ways to use energy. There's battle nodes in the adventure map. If you need to complete something for a resource node or was getting through the story, that's what you would use these for. But let's say you don't want to do that. You've done all the story. The battle nodes I've noticed aren't a huge amount of value and you just want to do time nodes. Where else can you use this? Well, the activities page here. You've got lots of options. The most important option, I would say, are these boss battles. I am going to go over the boss battles dramatically more in detail in the future. However, just to give a generic overview, these boss battles give very important rewards that not only will get you vital resources for powering up your characters, they can also give you coins that you can use once again on more resources, but also on summoner tickets and nature stones and other much more valuable resources. Now you might have noticed these boss fights actually do require energy plus another material. Each boss fight has their own material that applies to them. You get those a couple ways. Probably the biggest one is the adventure paths. You can get those just from walking around. That's easy peasy. And once you get enough of that, you can do these boss battles. The cool thing about those resources, let's say you have an absolute ton of mountain apples. The mountain apples are for the Avatar State Aang fight. But you don't want the apples, you want the snow leopard fur so that you can fight Zuko. That is okay. As long as you go to the shop here, hit more, go to adventure, and go to exchange, you can exchange boss materials at a 1-to-1 rate, which is kind of huge actually. So like for example, I've got 160 of these Earth Crystals, which are going to be used for the future King Boomy fight. I could swap that in for 150 Snow Leopard fur for free. This is huge to keep in mind. That means that if you do have a dramatic excess of one particular boss item, you can trade that out and it's fine. You can farm any boss item and it'll help. From that point on, you can start doing more of the normal missions, depending on what resources you need. That's really going to come down to it as far as what you actually need versus what you want to do, or maybe what you need to do for achievements. The training ground stage is one you're probably going to be on very often. This one grants you the training scrolls for leveling up your characters. Very important. Let's say that you want to do this. You need training scrolls. If you go to battle, you'll notice a few options here. You'll notice that almost none of these options are labeled. If there is one quality of life feature that I would ask for, there's a few actually, but it would be for some of these to be a little more clear. There's two things you can do here, aside from just start the battle and go for it. If you hit this button, you can use these skip tickets with the little flying boar icon. What that means is that I can spend the energy for 5 battles, use 5 skip tickets, and immediately get the rewards. You don't have to go through it, you can just click, it'll think about it for a second, complete, rewards, XP, all that good stuff. Or, if you're out of skip tickets, but you know it's a mission your characters can do very easily, you can hit this little gear right here. This will trigger an auto battle. Now, what this will do, it will roll through the battles on its own. When it completes a battle, it will automatically restart the next battle. I've noticed that this feature can be a bit buggy every now and then. Sometimes it says you're out of energy and you're not. But optimally speaking, when it works, you can basically roll through all your battles and get that done. For the training ground stages, and for a lot of the stages, you get 5 plays per day. That's dependent on stage, so when you complete stage 3, you can do 5 battles in stage 2, stage 1, etc. That applies to the training grounds, Pirate's Domain, and the elemental quests. For the boss battles, you only get 1 play per day, per stage. The only exception to this rule are the arts expeditions. You can actually do these as many times as you want to try and get these arts. Probably the reason for that is the stats are a little more RNG dependent and can be a bit tougher. Finally, once you've gotten through all that, the one thing to remember on a day-to-day basis is to go to the shop here and collect your free item. Every day you get a free item. In my case, it was energy. Sometimes it might be some other item. Sometimes it's even nature stones, but you just want to make sure that you do collect this. I'm not going to collect it right now, but I will collect it today. Because, hey, free is good, and that's what we like to see. And that is about it for your daily stuff. You do have these special missions here that you can do, but that's more of a quest line that you'll get through as you play the game. And then from that point on, really the most important thing is to just have fun. If you are the type of person like me who wants to play every day, wants to really optimize, I think this will help you out a lot. But if you're not, do not feel pressure. The whole point of this game is to have fun. That's the most important thing. That's why we're all here. If you're not the type of person who feels the need to hop on every single day, honestly, I kind of envy you. Because it can be a challenge sometimes. But you know what? People like us think it's fun. And that's about all I have to cover today. Hope this cleared things up. If you have any questions or any factors I maybe didn't cover, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll look over those. If you have any guides that you want, because I know a few people have been requesting this one, leave it in the comments. Feel free to subscribe if you are really enjoying these videos. This has been kind of a new process for me, getting this YouTube channel started, but I've been extremely happy with it and having a lot of fun. And that's about all I've got for y'all. Have a good day, and we'll see you later.